Welcome to American Education FM, everybody. I'm Dr. Sean Brooks. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'll start here very quickly. One of the ways that you can figure out that this is warfare and that we are at war is the amount of information that is available and how quickly that information is available and how it's ever churning and it's ever delivering, and the speed in which people obtain it is ever increasing. That should prove to people that we are at war. Again, if it were a physical battlefield, which theoretically it still is, but if it were only a physical battlefield, you would have shooting or explosions on one side of a field, and then all of a sudden you would hear them on the other side of the field, instantly drawing your attention in that particular way. It doesn't mean, again, that you can't walk and chew gum at the same time. It doesn't mean that we can't pay attention to multiple things going on at the exact same time. We certainly can, because it's all warfare. And the interesting part, too, about a great deal of this is that people will always lean on the excuse of saying, well, the reason that a particular story comes out is because it's a distraction. Now, me personally, I always think that's a cop-out. I don't like that explanation. I never have. Well, it's only a distraction. It's only designed to keep you from thinking about this or paying attention to that or this, that, or the other. It's all connected. All of it's connected. And we can absorb copious amounts of information from multiple different angles at the exact same time. That's not a new thing. In fact, I would consider most of this and everything that's going on regarding this entire war, and certainly the Great Awakening, I would consider a great deal of it exercise for the mind. They're like mind push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups all at the same time. It's stretching people's minds, rather, on purpose, to get people to understand also that things are not as they seem, that that's okay. You need to understand that things are not what they seem, but also you have the capacity to absorb information and read and listen and think and communicate about endless things of great importance. And that the more that you do that, the more likely you are to not pay attention to things that, of course, don't matter, or stop paying attention to things that are insignificant. All you do is you just replace it. Again, it's like Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark, when he's taking the bag of sand and he's replacing it with the golden monkey. When he's doing that, you're taking your focus from one thing and you're putting it onto another. So when people, again, as Nietzsche said, and I've mentioned the quote a million times, I'm going to butcher it again, but he was right when he said that when you shed your skin, that's a good thing because, again, you're exercising your mind and you're proving that you're human. But when you cease to shed your skin, you cease to be human, you cease to be man. Just like a snake who refuses to shed its skin, it ends up dying. So, again, all of the information that's coming out and consistently coming out, whether the mainstream news media touches it with a 10-foot pole or they don't, which, by the way, they're not touching the Epstein drops by any stretch of the imagination. They'll make mention that they have been released and then they'll move on to the next story. But they don't dive into what's actually in the emails and what's discussed. So, again, that's why they're the enemy of the people. At the exact same time, they are controlled to bring up particular things that they've never even brought up before, and it makes them, incredibly nervous. Because, again, there are certain individuals who have been placed, I believe, within those stations to tell these individuals that this is what you're going to do. This is the kind of information that you're going to bring to the people, and they may not even say it that way. They just put it on the screen, and then the news readers, and let's face it, that's all they are. They're just news readers. They just read it, and then it slowly wakes people up. Again, subliminal messaging is very effective. Certainly when you have a great deal of people who still watch the mainstream media who believe things that are not real. So with all of that said and to the side, I just wanted to read this quick text that was sent my way by Dr. Luther Smith, and he hit it on the head, and he's 100% right. I think this summarizes a great deal of what's going on. He said the following right before, again, I started recording this today on Sunday. He said, "Holy cow, I've been on Facebook, and you would not believe the things that are popping up on my feed. from how MLK was a communist and the civil rights movement was a joke, to birth certificates making you a part of the Corporation of America, to MLK subverting the founding fathers with his so-called I Have a Dream speech, to Judea declaring war on Germany in 1933, to the Holocaust. It is like a full blitz on social media, to George Bush Sr. called out for his murder and pedophilia of children. I wonder if this has anything to do with the releasing of Epstein files. Sean, it's like a coordinated information dump. This stuff 4 years ago would have got you nuked off the platform. Now it's every other thing. I have been on a saving frenzy. Unquote. He's 100% right. Again, certain elements of these platforms are controlled. There is no doubt about it. Because all it really takes is it takes individuals who are on those platforms, not the owners themselves, but anybody with an account. And then all they have to do is just report a particular comment that you make or a post that you make. And then again, you're shadow banned. Or again, you have your post deleted, or you're threatened by the social media platform, or you're just flat out removed without any warning whatsoever. Again, that certainly has happened to me on X, but it wasn't necessarily X's platform that was doing it. It was X's platform that was allowing random people to do it. Whether they were people who knew me and didn't like me, or they were just anybody, a complete stranger, an algorithm, so to speak, that openly says, this person made this particular post, now make this person's post disappear. The fact that these posts now, to a great extent, are wide open and in the open is a very good sign. You cannot get on X today and not see a single post that doesn't have something related to Epstein, or something related to ICE, or something related to the school protests that are taking place and these brainwashed children that are being led around in these CIA playgrounds called schools. It's everywhere. It's overwhelming. But the so-called right side of politics, if you want to believe that paradigm, the right side has control over a great deal of what's on social media, even in the comments section. For example, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine will make a particular post, and then you get in the comments section, and there isn't a single person supporting him. Every single person is destroying him online with endless truths. His past, his affiliations, the new candidates that are coming around, how Vivek Ramaswamy is a con artist, how Casey Putsch needs to be the governor of Ohio, which clearly he does. It's 1,000 things. I mean, Casey Putsch put out a tweet the other day, which was awesome. It was a picture of a noose hanging from the rafters inside of a factory. And he said, again, regarding the Epstein files, we have to have hangings. These people have to be held accountable. And I responded and I said, this is the future governor of Ohio. Fuck yeah. And he liked the post. He ended up reliking the post, which is great because he's right. The more you get on social media, you see people wanting the accountability. And this is, of course, D-class. This is the D-class that was discussed in the Q drops for years and years and years. And we always wondered when it was going to happen. We knew that information was getting out there, and it was, of course, being revealed on social media slowly but surely, certainly on Gab, not back on X during the day, but certainly on Gab and other so-called alternative platforms that were not stifling free speech. But we always wondered again when these massive drops would start coming out, and it's coming out. And it has been the entire time, theoretically, certainly since long before Donald Trump even took office. I mean, this information is available. But the fact that classified documentation continues to be released and endless people, in particular those in the so-called education profession, they don't want to look at the information because it would upend everything that they've done in the past. Even though the information that's been released about a great many subjects, whether it be RFK's assassination or JFK's assassination and all of those affiliations, certainly with Israel, the mob, CIA, Mossad, you can pick one. And then, of course, MLK and all of that. And then, of course, now you have Epstein and all of his affiliations. They don't want to look into any of this because, again, it completely pulls the rug out from underneath their belief system. And yet there are those of us and people long before me who were doing it long before I was, that we've been looking into this information for, good Lord, well over a decade. Again, for me personally, it's been approximately, I'd say, 12 or 13 years I've been looking into this information and paying attention to this information. I have an entire 1 terabyte hard drive of information. Again, videos, posts, memes, pictures, documents, PDFs, you name it, dating back that far of information that I was coming across online and thought to myself, good Lord, why is no one talking about this? And yet, endless people were talking about it in online platforms, but they weren't mentioning it ever on the old TV box. Because, of course, that's completely controlled. Which is why when the Q drops came around, it made perfect and utter sense. It was even more horrific than we had imagined. But we also saw, again, that there was a coordinated operation taking place to slowly allow this information to get in the hands of good citizens to share this with the public. And then, eventually, people would start to see that, wait a minute, there's other good things happening behind the scenes. And this information is going to become more readily available and easier for everybody to access, certainly sometime in the future. And the future is now. We are there now. And the now is every single day. So let me transition just very quickly to the actual Epstein drops themselves. Here's what I've done, and here's what I'm not going to do. What I've done is, I've taken a great deal of the posts that exist on social media and I threw them into the most recent Substack article. The Substack article before this one has to do with Anissa Liban, yet again, the Westerville City Schools Somali, Ohio school board member. I recommend checking that one out as well. However, on top of that, of course, when it comes to fraud and illegality, the Epstein drops is the title of the most recent one. And again, it's just a bunch of random posts, including a short little interview where Steve Bannon is actually coaching Jeffrey Epstein on how to talk to the media. Given the fact that Epstein was a sexual predator, a tier 1 sexual predator, and that, of course, if he's asked particular questions, how is it that he should answer those questions and how should he behave in XYZ? It was a bit strange that Bannon's involved in this, certainly in a negative way, because why else would you affiliate with somebody like him if you weren't getting something in return? But a great deal of these emails, again, have everything to do from sports figures like Tiger Woods and the old NBA commissioner David Stern talking about orgies and women. For example, I'll just read a few of them here anyway, just a couple. There was one from David Stern sent to Jeffrey Epstein on Wednesday, May 21st, 2014. And he said, I will arrive Saturday the 31st morning in NYC. We'll see you latest 4 p.m. on Sunday, unless you want me to come over before for any reason, orgies, etc. And then there's one here from Tiger Woods in 2010. He says, number one, and this is Tiger saying this, it's important to have a woman who helps at home. It's important to have a woman who cooks from time to time. It's important to have a woman who keeps the house clean. It's important to have a woman who has a job. It's important to have a woman who likes you. It's important to have a woman who can be your best friend. It's important to have a woman who can make you laugh. It's important to have a woman who you can trust, who doesn't lie to you. It's important to have a woman who is good in bed. And number 10, it's very, very important that these 9 women do not know each other. Sincerely, Tiger Woods, sent via his BlackBerry from T-Mobile. I mean, these emails and these backs and forths are not surprising to us. They're not surprising to people like me, who again have been looking into this and connecting these dots for a very long time. But these people, again, they talk about slicing pizza and drinking grape juice This is all code for child sacrifice, murder, rape, torture, etc., etc. And it goes on and on and on. And a great deal of these people are involved. Certainly Epstein himself. I've described the one torture video that I've seen of Epstein. It's awful. I don't have a link to it, of course, anymore, at least not to my knowledge. It could be on an external hard drive, but I have no idea. Probably not. But either way, you have Hollywood individuals, celebrities, Tom Hanks, Sean Carter, Jay-Z, that is, and many others. So, again, it's interesting and horrific. Same thing with George W. Bush. Here's one specifically. I'll give you this one. This was from Wednesday, August 28th, 2019. It doesn't say who was sent to or from, but it says at the top, interview of purported Epstein victims. And then it simply says, thanks, redacted. I didn't realize Bush raped him too. Okay. And there's one here again right below it on August 28th, 2019. Again, it doesn't say who wrote it or who it's from necessarily, but it said, I'd like to add a few other points disclosed by the purported victims. So this is clearly the FBI New York describing this and describing what victims were telling them, basically. They say the following here. While on this yacht, he witnessed African-American males having sex with white blonde females, all of whom were bleeding during intercourse. He was a victim of a type of ritualistic sacrifice in which his feet were cut with a scimitar. At least that's what it says. I've never even heard of that, but left no scarring. On the yacht, he witnessed babies being dismembered, their intestines removed, and individuals eating the feces from these intestines. He was also raped by George Bush I. Victim disclosed that he was escorted to the FBI building by Michael Moore, who is the creator of True Pundit, quote unquote, described by multiple online sources as a conspiracy-driven news website that attempts to paint the FBI in a bad light. Moore has a criminal record as a result of an FBI investigation, copyright infringement. Let me know if you want to discuss the former FBI agent that called this into the head office. Thanks. Again, it goes on and on and on. Alan Dershowitz is in here. Numerous other conversations as well. It's not surprising, but this is also why the people in Hollywood scream and shout and panic and a number of other things. Apparently in these files as well is the mother of the New York mayor. And there's a picture of her holding what appears to be him, or could be him anyway. And then Epstein is also in the same photograph. Again, you don't know if some of these photographs are photoshopped or not. It's evident that some of them are not, but it looks like some of them are. Again, Epstein had ties with TMZ. And what's his name? Harvey something. Harvey Levin. There we go. Again, rather disgusting, but it's never ending, and this is how satanic these people were. They are satanic. And again, when it comes to guilt and levels of guilt, human behavior is rather consistent. The individuals not talking about it are usually the guilty. The individuals not talking about any of this are usually the people who have affiliations with people who are guilty in one form or another. But there are 69 Q drops with the name Epstein in them. You don't have to just come across those particular drops to, again, see Epstein-like affiliations, but I would recommend, again, checking out the Substack article yourself. Give those posts a read. You can give the emails a read that are inside there as well, and there's a 21-minute video at the end of that Substack article, which is also remarkably horrific as well, which specifically includes, apparently, Epstein's niece, and Anya Wick, and she's describing, again, the cult-like behavior, how these individuals, again, were not only Jewish, but they were just flat-out Satanists. And she goes into all of it, and yeah, it's worth a watch, without a doubt. Now, with that said, and this is a point certainly that I think needs to be made, is that just because Jeffrey Epstein writes an email doesn't make it true. There were a great deal of people that he did not like. And there were a great deal of people, of course, that not only did he not like, but he knew that he could slander. Because again, if he was ever arrested, which of course he was, then his communications would become public. And of course, he would know that that would be the case. Which means, again, who's to say that when it's him describing something, that he's telling the truth? He might not be. Again, there are some posts that have to do with Donald Trump. There's a few things, again, that are in there, where he's disparaging Donald Trump, and other people are as well, to Jeffrey Epstein. And that's frankly because Jeffrey Epstein didn't like Donald Trump, and Donald Trump didn't like Jeffrey Epstein. Pretty straightforward. Again, the question anybody would have to ask is if Donald Trump was in any of these emails legitimately in a negative light, why wouldn't these emails come out during Biden's administration? Why wouldn't they come out during Obama's administration when Donald Trump was running for office the first time? I mean, again, are you going to find his name in some of these emails? Yeah, you will. But who's to say, again, what's real and what isn't? And I understand a naysayer or a doubter or anybody else would say, well, you just said that about George Bush and Jay-Z and Tom Hanks and blah, blah, blah. What makes all of that real? Well, if it's in their writing and they're the ones sending the mail, then that's different. But if it's Jeffrey Epstein talking about a person he doesn't like in a negative light, when it's not that person themselves talking about what they want to do or what they've done or where they're going or whatever, then it's just his opinion. So it doesn't make it true. Again, at the end of the day, everybody's going to be judged for their associations and the things that they did or did not do. Again, Bill Gates is in these emails as well, having a sexually transmitted disease and, wanting particular drugs to suppress his sexually transmitted disease, probably herpes if I had to take a guess, in order to basically fool his wife or not get his wife infected. Things of that nature. I mean, again, I'm not saying that that's false. Seems like something that Bill Gates would engage in. But even so, who's to say one way or another? What's interesting, I think, is that these individuals hate humanity. They can't stand it. And yet these are the people that you see on your screens telling you how to live your lives. Bill Gates was the one thrust in front of everybody during the COVID lie. He wasn't a medical doctor, never had a medical degree, but he was making the rounds on every single show, every single podcast, you name it, telling everybody what they should or should not do. And all of a sudden, we were just supposed to bow down to this nerd who claimed that he knew everything. He's a dysgenist. He's interested in killing people. He's not interested in helping anybody. But there are different degrees of that. He'll inject, for example, African children with vaccinations knowing that it will kill them, and he does it in that method. Whereas in some of these emails, it describes them just flat out hunting, raping, and dismembering African children. Big difference. Big difference between taking a machete to children and killing them, or even, again, raping them, or just injecting them with a poison that will eventually kill them. They're both evil. They're both intentional. They're just different methods of getting the same job done. And that's because it's satanic. It doesn't matter the method. Regardless of the means, to them, it justifies the ends, because the end is the same. So I'm going to leave it there. Again, I'll link the Substack in the description below if you're interested in checking it out. But you cannot get on X without seeing these posts. It is everywhere. They are everywhere. It's all over the place. And I have a link, of course, to the DOJ's database of where you can find it. And there's another place where you can find it, of course, also, which is jmail.com. I also have that linked in the Substack article as well. Kind of an easier to read format for some of these things. And then, of course, there's pictures. And there's some videos as well. Some people are sharing some of those. Some people aren't. They're not making the rounds quite like a lot of the emails are. But it's all predictably terrible. So, yeah. The more that people, again, and this is kind of, I would say, a nice firm lesson throughout this particular episode, and you've heard me say it a million times, the further that people walk away from government and all things that government touches, as much as possible, the better. Case in point, American schools. I'll pull it right into this now. On Friday, you had numerous schools across the nation engaging in so-called protests. A lot of them fell flat on their faces, which was hilarious. A lot of people did not participate, which was great. Unfortunately, in the more left-wing areas of society, those particular schools would have their entire student population basically skip school and do whatever they were doing. Have walkouts in the middle of the day, and then they'd run around the school campus creating chaos, and then whatever else. Keeping in mind, of course, the hypocrisy of the entire thing, because if it were any other reason as to why they would walk out, they would get suspended. But as long as the people who are so-called in charge of these buildings in these districts are politically focused on a singular thing, and then they allow that thing to be the reason for the walkout or the protest, then it's 100% sanctioned. Everything is fine. Because then they're exercising their First Amendment right. They're exercising their right to peacefully protest and blah, blah, blah. One video is making the rounds, which is absolutely fantastic. It's a 10-minute video of a woman, I believe, in Washington State. And she shows up to her daughter's middle school. And all of the students are outside protesting. Middle school students. They don't even know what they're protesting. It's social engineering. The American school system is a CIA playground for the brainwashed. You need the brainwashed to deliver the instruction, so to speak, whatever that instruction is. False, most of it. 98% of all information taught in school is not true. And that immediately is transferred then over to young, impressionable minds. And therein lies, of course, the problem. But the mother shows up and she instantly unenrolls her child from that school and she records the entire thing. I'll probably put it in a Substack article here very shortly if I can. I'll certainly put it in Monday night's war video. All 10 minutes of it. It's fantastic. She didn't get quite as loud with the front office workers as she should have. I'd have been screaming at the top of my lungs. But she got her point across and was clearly visibly angry. But there's a piece here that I wanted to read, and this is from PJ Media, and it was written by Tim O'Brien, and he hits the nail on the head, and he's 100% right, and I might even take it a little bit further. It was titled, "It's Not Your Imagination, the Left is Brainwashing the Kids." He said the following, quote, and this was written on the 31st of January. "Brainwashing is real. It is not just a pejorative term we use to describe someone else who can't think for themselves. You've been brainwashed. I've been brainwashed. Only when it happens to us, we don't call it brainwashing, we call it conditioning. Think of a time you changed your mind on an important topic, let's say vaccines. You likely weren't brainwashed into changing your mind as your friends and family may have told you. It was likely the process of changing your mind that took you out of the cycle of conditioning. So when your friends and family criticize you for being brainwashed into changing your mind, it was they who had yet to break free from the cycle. We're all conditioned to think a certain way about things. Our patriotism is a response to our nationalist conditioning that more than likely traces back to your youth or our youth. Still, it serves as an important purpose. Without it, you would not have people willing to defend and protect the country's sovereignty. If you're a baptized Christian or a Jew, you've likely been conditioned since birth to believe in God. Well, maybe, maybe not. Anyway, this has served as a larger purpose too. It's the foundation for the society that strives to be moral and ethical, though its laws, its customs, and its credos. Now, that's debatable, depending on the so-called religion. Anyway, he goes on, says, humans are most susceptible to conditioning at the youngest of ages, when they're most impressionable. This is why the left is so focused on separating children from their parents at the youngest of possible ages and putting them in institutional settings from daycares to preschools to after schools and before school programs. It's why the left is so intent on funding breakfast, lunch, and dinner for students. The state replaces the family. The state's ideology and values replace religion. This also explains why the left has introduced the rainbow flag to children at the youngest of ages. It does so for the very same reasons Christians baptize their kids, teach the Ten Commandments, hang crosses in churches and homes. It's why the left wants religion out of schools. It's competition for the mind share of the children. Once the left has built up a certain level of institutional trust between children and their educators, it has laid the foundation for integrating a broad range of its issues, its causes, and its movements into generations. Look no further than the current anti-ICE protests where high school kids are walking out in protest. Let me play a couple of pieces of audio. Give this a quick listen here in 3, 2, 1.
I don't want ICE here. I don't want to go to school and be scared that I'm going to be taken out. It's not even just like colored people anymore. It's just anyone who gets in the way. We have to watch out for each other because the government obviously won't.
It's kind of like turning into a dictatorship. And some of my friends are immigrants too, so I'm worried for them, and I don't want them to be taken.
Everybody in this country is an immigrant. I think it's cruel. I think it's just inhumane how they're treating these people. It's just a way to have a scapegoat and to prevent them from seeing the true reality of like how corrupt the government is.
A 5-year-old got taken by ICE. He's literally just a child. You're taking him away from his home. I don't think this should happen at all, and I hate it. I do. So I came here today to be a part of this amazing protest with all these people who believe in the same thing I do.
4 students, all of which are wrong. All of them are wrong. At least 3 of them are minorities, and one of them, who is apparently white, is dressed like an absolute clown, dressed like a Halloween character. And every single thing that they say is 100% false. This was high school students in Knox County schools in Knoxville, Tennessee. They've lost their minds. But the last girl said something which is interesting. She said, I'm here because I'm here with people who agree with me, who I agree with, or something to that effect. She's right about that. It's an echo chamber. They're only there because they happen to believe the same things. No different than somebody who goes to Disney World all of the time because they enjoy that, whatever it is, that feeling of fantasy, that feeling of a lack of reality, and the colors that come with it, and the sounds and the songs and all of that shit. All of that stuff is there on purpose to brainwash people. But that's exactly what this is too. It's not individuals seeking out the truth or seeking out answers. They're just searching for like-minded people to verify and validate their belief system, knowing full well that a belief system is not a fact. I'm going to skip toward the end of this article here. He's got a couple more videos, but he has a section here titled How to Break the Cycle. He says, to break the cycle of conditioned power, parents need to discourage children from doing things for acceptance and popularity, but rather do things for the values those parents are trying to instill in their kids. Strengthen the family unit by valuing family unity through togetherness. These days, that starts with screen time. When mom or dad or son or daughter are on their screens, they are not together. They're in the same room, but they are not in the same place. This is a recipe for conditioning vulnerability like none other. There's a reason for family time. It's to instill your children a sense of who they are in relation to the family and society. They need this as a sort of force field against conditioning from outside influences. Don't just play an active role in your children's education, play an activist role. Get involved and send a message to schools that you're present. Schools and their leftist teachers and administrators are less likely to test families of children they already know are strong. In fact, what they're likely to do, little side note, is they're likely to scoff at those parents and those children, discipline those children unfairly, and treat the parents and the children more unfairly. Which again should beg the question, why keep going? I understand that there are certain situations, as I've said before, where there are parents who do not have a choice. I know some of those individuals, and I fully get it. They have to send their children because they don't have a choice. They had a choice, either before having children, or they didn't think it out, or they didn't plan it out, or they didn't see all of this coming, even though it has already existed within these environments. But now they're in a position where they don't have a choice. But if a child can read and write and they can teach themselves, you have a choice. And that choice, of course, is to not be a part of these environments. He goes on, he says, watch their friends. Nothing can undermine everything you've tried to do in raising your children like peer pressure. Pay attention to who your child is spending time with in and out of school. If your gut is telling you something's off, do to your child what the left is already trying to do to you and your child. Separate them. Find some other way to occupy your child's time so they are not consistently exposed to negative influences. Don't put the onus on your child to remove himself or herself from the group. That puts undue stress on your child, and it's not likely to work. The best approach is fairly logistical. Sign them up for activities, classes, or groups that present time conflicts with the negative influences. Yes, this may cut into parental schedules more than you like, but having been there myself, I can say this. All of the sacrifices you made for your kids will come rushing back to you as you sit in the crowd watching your child graduate from college or get married, and you'll tell yourself it was worth it. Just like you, your children will be conditioned. The only question is, which influences do you want to shape them as people? Patriotic or religious influences that make for a better person, or negative anti-American, anti-religious influences designed only to give someone else power over them? Parents have a tough job today. It takes day-to-day diligence to counter the constant onslaught from the left. The battlefield is the mind of a child, someone who conditioned that child. Better it be the ones who believe in God and family and country." Unquote. He's exactly right. And again, I'll have plenty of video evidence of this nonsense in the next Substack, which will probably come out here maybe Monday morning or even Sunday night. But yeah, it's it's just beyond ridiculous. And again, as I've said before, they don't have any powers of observation. I mean, first of all, they have preschool students engaging in this, and they're standing around, bless their little hearts, but they're standing around and they're looking confused because they're confused. So when you hear a leftist, even like a stupid board member in the town where I live who sits on the school board, Matt Wyatt, he's a full-blown communist, and he'll openly say things like, well, people always use children as political pawns. That's his side of things. That's the left's approach all of the time, is to use children as political pawns. They're the ones doing it in schools across the nation all of the time. We shouldn't be using children as political pawns. Why are you using preschool children then? These adults, again, are brainwashing these young people into believing that the thing that they're doing is right, when in fact they have no idea what the thing they're doing is, let alone what they're doing it for. They're living vicariously through these children, wishing what? That they knew what they knew now back when they were children? That's a level of psychosis that you almost can't put your finger on. I mean, it's obvious, but it's impossible to grasp because these people are crazy. And as we know, the business is filled with liberal females and gay men. Case in point, this particular article which I came across, which I find to be completely accurate and totally hilarious. This is from the Coalition to End Domestic Violence. enddodv.org. It was an article titled "Female Bullying and Psychosis Now Seen as a Global Epidemic." This is just from a couple of days ago. It's very short. Let me read through this very quickly. It says the following. For years, it says feminists have extolled the virtues of the workplace, claiming that women's superior relationship skills would give rise in a veritable gender nirvana. But commentator Bettina Ardent has blown the lid off that feminist myth, documenting the global problem of female bullying in the workplace. It says presidential candidate Kamala Harris inflicted, quote, constant soul-destroying criticism on her office staff, unquote. An independent review found former Canadian Governor General Julie Payette had created a toxic workplace through yelling, belittling, and public humiliation of staff. Former UK Prime Minister Liz Truss engaged in soul-destroying and pure bullying that drained the life out of the team, quote unquote, according to former aides. Former Australian former minister Julia Bishop was accused of engaging in a pattern of threats, intimidation, and bullying. These are not isolated examples. One survey of over 200 former female executives cited, quote, toxic interpersonal dynamics, unquote, as a major reason for their departure. Another study found 70% of women report poor job satisfaction due to relational aggression. And 3, it says, an article in the Washington Post revealed how gossip and the related behaviors among female colleagues can constitute workplace bullying, not harmless girl talk, quote unquote. The problem of truth-denying feminists who refuse to acknowledge the problem of female-perpetuated domestic violence has been well documented, even among lesbian couples who experience high rates of partner abuse. Recently, UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed, very UN name, made the vile claim that the gender-based violence is, quote, the darkest echo of male dominance. It says a problem related to bullying is mass psychosis, which is now seen among liberal women on an ever-expanding basis. In recent days, for example, hundreds of shrieking American women have been protesting efforts to remove illegal immigrants from Minneapolis. In response, commentator Heather McDonald observed, quote, what we're seeing, is a mass female psychosis, quote unquote, and then, quote, and on average, a psychology has long understood females rate much higher on the personality trait of neuroticism, McDonald explained. In Scotland, rabid feminists pressured courts to approve a policy to prohibit a defendant from presenting evidence of the events prior to an alleged case of sexual assault. The gross unfairness of the policy became evident in the recent case of writer Jim Ferguson accused of groping a woman without her consent. Detailed inquiry revealed the woman's accusation was motivated by a personal vendetta, not criminal behavior. Last week, an appeals court overturned the conviction, saying, quote, justice has not been seen to be done, quote unquote. Ardent concludes her impassioned expose by urging persons to, quote, call out the feminist protection racket, which is allowing mean women to get away with toxic behavior, unquote. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody knows that the vast majority of people who are bullies in the workplace are women. Who dominates the education profession? Lonely, sad, childless, fat, gross, just old women and young women. And one of the things that they do also is they circle the wagons. They circle the wagons like nobody's business. They stand up for each other like nothing else. And then at the exact same time, they play the woman card and the race card. All of the time. The only reason you don't like me is because I'm a woman. The only reason you don't like me is because I'm of a darker race, or I'm from another country, or XYZ. They always say that. And they'll say things too like, the reason you're doubting us, or the reason you think that we're engaging in any illegality is because we're women, or because, again, we're a race that you don't like, or a political persuasion that you don't like. No, that's not it. It's because you're more likely, as a result of all of those former examples, they're far more likely to show their illegality with no filter whatsoever. They talk too much. They don't hide it. Case in point, Westerville, Ohio, Westerville City School District Board member Anissa Liban yet again, along with, of course, Louise Valentine. I want you to hear these two women one more time. This is from the same clip. It's not the same clip, but it's the same overall 20-minute some odd video that's in one of the last Substack articles here, where Anissa Liban again was giving a self-congratulatory school board speech telling everybody, now that I've been elected, Westerville has to do what I say because I promised them things. Quid pro quo. At the exact same time, before she speaks, Louise Valentine speaks, and I want you to listen to her because she's a bowl full of crazy also, and she's a part of a hard left-wing group in Ohio called Lead Ohio. And again, it's all money laundering. It's all designed to change votes, manipulate people, and get minorities and illegals to vote for their own causes. So give Louise Valentine a listen first, and then I'll play the second clip of Anissa Liban. In 3, 2, 1.
Wow. That's all I can say for this turnout. Like, y'all are amazing. They all stepped up for you. I'm so excited to serve, hopefully 4 more years with Anissa on the board. I'll have to run in 2 years, so hopefully maybe 6 years. And it is so important to have the diversity that we have on this board. And I'm so excited for Anissa to continue to bring that, to bring all of the different voices from our community into the decision-making process.
She just told you why they picked her in the first place, why they picked her to be the interim board member, because she's black. That's it. But if it was any other board members, picking, for example, a white man, and they said the same thing, like, we're so glad that we picked this guy because he's white and he knows what he's talking about and he's got one hell of a background and he's a lawyer and works for JP Morgan and Chase or whomever else and blah, blah, blah. And he's got a lot of experience and knows the numbers and can crunch the numbers and get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse and whatever else. If a person said that, they'd be called racist. White supremacy, they'd scream. But a liberal woman gets to openly say that the reason that they selected Anissa Liban is because she's a black Somali. That's acceptable. The double standard is blinding. Now here's Anissa Liban in the second clip where she's also admitting again, yet again, in her same speech, but for a second time, to quid pro quo. Give her a listen in 3, 2, 1.
These next 4 years, for me personally, I really hope that I can open more doors for more brothers and sisters who are qualified to do this job, more business owners that deserve to have contracts with the district, more parents that deserve to have their voices heard.
More brothers and sisters who can do this job. She doesn't mean lawful citizens. She doesn't mean individuals who have qualifications. And she doesn't mean white people. She means black Somalis with 0 qualifications, because if you can hire her who has 0 qualifications, well, then you can vote in anybody else who has 0 qualifications. I'm telling you, these American schools across the nation are filling up with non-English speaking minorities, foreigners, illegals, the brainwashed, the mentally handicapped, and the physically disabled. That's who continues to be there. And then you have a subsection that is filled with American brainwashed youth and their parents, who are none of the former mentioned that I just described. They don't fill any of those other categories. They just happen to be full-blown brainwashed, and they still go. They still attend. The only way that American schools can stay afloat financially is if they fill them with illegals. It's the only way. It's just like Democrats in voting and winning elections. The only way that they can win an election is through voter fraud. Having illegals vote illegally, having different methods of voting, and not have voting laws in place on a national scale that would make it free and fair across the board for all legal citizens, appropriately free of fraud. Cheating is the only thing they know. It's the only way that they get ahead. Because they can't do it honestly, because they don't know how to do it honestly. Cheating is the only thing that they know. And it's taught, and it's discussed openly, constantly, in groups, organizations that they're a part of, etc., etc. Now here's another clip from the same Substack article, and this was a news outlet in the Columbus area from just a couple of days ago, which highlights, again, a lot of the fraud that goes on, but an open admission that a lot of the fraud, certainly in Ohio, isn't being caught among the Somalis. They're not looking into Somali fraud. They're not rounding up Somalis. In fact, our AG, Dave Yost, openly says it and then criticizes citizen journalists, quote unquote. You'll hear him toward the end. Give this clip a listen in 3, 2, 1.
On new tonight, new fraud allegations across the state of Ohio are pushing lawmakers into action, introducing bills at the State House to crack down on fraud in publicly funded daycare.
But many of you are raising more concerns when it comes to other programs like Medicaid. ABC6 On Your Side investigator Lisa Rontala is on Waste Watch tonight asking who's taking the money.
Guys, concerns began surfacing weeks ago after investigations started targeting Somali-owned daycares in Minnesota. The spotlight hit Columbus as we have the second largest Somali population in the country. The state says it's already received 90 tips at the beginning of this year, the first 2 weeks of this year, compared to 124 last year. And Attorney General Dave Yost has come out front to say the state has been chasing this kind of fraud for decades.
I've long been disturbed in the benefits community. There's a rule called pay and chase. And the idea is that we'll pay it out because we want to get the money into the hands of people, and then we'll chase the fraud afterward.
The Attorney General supported a new bill to fight fraud inside publicly funded daycares in Ohio. There are about 5,000 of those in the state. However, I did ask the Attorney General specifically about more concerns on social media surrounding Medicaid and Somali healthcare aides and providers. Yost would not tell me who his Medicaid fraud unit had indicted or charged this past year. Instead, he told me to check out his website. So I did. And here is what I found. In 2025, the Ohio Attorney General's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit charged or saw the convictions of 67 fraudsters or suspected fraudsters who took more than $8.5 million combined. 3 were found to have stolen more than $1 million taxpayer dollars each. And they are Janae Corbett from Dayton. She pleaded guilty last year to stealing multiple identities to open 2 sham behavioral health counseling agencies. She billed Medicaid for $1.5 million and is now serving up to 9 years in prison. And then there's Robert Flory. He was a doctor operating Buckeye Health and Research in Columbus and billed Medicaid for more than 4,500 pieces of equipment that he never ordered. Again, taking $1.5 million of your taxpayer dollars. He surrendered his medical license and was sentenced to 2 years in prison. And Terry Cotton, she's from Cleveland. She was indicted last year, accused of billing Medicaid for 100 home-delivered meals per day for just 4 patients. The total bill, $1.2 million. Now, 9 of last year's 67 suspects that we found came from the Columbus area. However, few had Muslim names, and we could not confirm that any came from the Somali community.
Got a whole army of citizen journalists out looking into things and asking questions. And I think that's healthy for our society. What is not healthy is the notion that we can connect dots by supposition, inference, and not seek any further.
Again, fraud concerning daycares in Ohio is leading to new proposed legislation at the State House. However, I've yet to receive any of the lists I requested of daycares that were overpaid last year or closed due to state involvement. Once I have that, I will bring it to you. On your side, I'm investigator Lisa Rontola.
So he smirks on the side of his face when he says citizen journalists are everywhere and that's a good thing. However, what's not productive is assuming that we can connect dots and operate on inference. The hell you can't. It's called probable cause. That's what it's called. We give you evidence. We show you that Anissa Liban made $80,000 disappear while removing all donations and locations from her secondary filing of her donations having to do with any donation that she got from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And you don't find that suspicious. All you have to do is look into one of those organizations in Minnesota. And if it's fraudulent, then she took fraudulent money, illegal money. Then you book her and you cook her. You tag her and you bag her. It's that simple. This is not hard. This is fat, old, lazy dudes who don't want to do their job. Dave Yost is on his way out. He's apparently running for, treasurer. Now that makes sense because he wants to be in charge of the money. He wants to follow the money. He's gone from being, I think, Secretary of State to AG to not running for governor because nobody supported him and they all support Vivek, which is, of course, a scam in itself. Now he wants to be on the money end to make sure that, again, certain people aren't prosecuted. Just do your job. This is why, again, it really is true. And I can certainly feel it, not just because I'm here, but I can certainly see what's going on across the country. Ohio is at the forefront here of what could be a statewide revival for really changing things and actually getting a grassroots government in government for the very first time ever. Certainly probably since the founding of the state, but who's to say all the way back then? That's why I support Casey Putsch for governor. I support Marcel Sturbich for Secretary of State. Casey Putsch has a great lieutenant governor picked. There are other individuals, again, who have got to take over these positions and go after the fraud, not because it's the flavor of the month or because whatever. I mean, even Dave Yost said he supports a bill about, dealing with fraud. You don't need to create a law or a bill to become a law for a law that already exists. Fraud is already against the law. If you have evidence or probable cause that a crime has been committed, then you get the right to have a search warrant to go into the place and confiscate their documents. Then you can look through those documents and see what you find. But their reaction to you showing up with a search warrant is going to be all the proof you need that a crime is being committed because they're going to flip their shit. Go into Somali Community Link in Columbus, Ohio. Knock down the door and take all their stuff. Because Anissa Liban is the CEO of that, and they stole millions in COVID money. And then they claimed that their original CEO died. So nothing to see here. I would doubt he's even dead. This too is another example of how corrupt the entire system is through and through, certainly throughout the education system. I've dealt with the Ohio Ethics Commission before, specifically their investigators, of which there's only approximately 4. And then they sift through the information, and then they hand it off to the state, and then the Ethics Commission looks at the information, and then they make a determination. Now, more times than not, their determinations will come back that they've decided to not do anything when there's clear proof of illegality, which I've handed them in the past on a silver platter. But this right here in their rule regarding charter schools proves that they're not interested in catching fraud. This was from Cleveland.com, and it was titled Ohio Ethics Commission Reverses Charter School Transparency Rule, capital letter. It says the Ohio Ethics Commission halted a rule requiring certain officials overseeing charter schools to file financial disclosures after pressure from legislative leadership, Laura Hancock reports. Senate President Rob McCauley, who's apparently corrupt as hell, the lieutenant governor candidate with Vivek Ramaswamy, and House Speaker Matt Huffman wrote a letter to the commission saying charter school governing authorities were being unfairly targeted for having to disclose sources of income, gifts, and other financial details. State law requires all superintendents, treasurers, and some school boards to submit annual ethics disclosures. Critics of charter schools say the lack of transparency may contribute to the alleged financial mismanagement at some of the schools. It's actually worse than that. And this is where the charter school debate gets blurry for some people. I'm all for charter schools. What I'm not for is charter school fraud, of which there is plenty. Bringing in illegal students to fill the seats, taking in foreign and illegal money. This happens all of the time with charter schools. So yes, there should be oversight. But when you have an Ohio Ethics Commission saying that there isn't going to be any oversight over charter schools, well, you're inviting in anybody and anything then to fund said school. It could be a drug cartel, for all they know. But they don't care, because they don't want to look into it. I mean, hell, the amount of illegal money that makes its way to American public schools is bad enough. But yes, there should be oversight regarding charter schools, not so much their testing or their curriculum per se. I mean, you don't want their curriculum to be anti-American, but at the same time, you should definitely be able to check out their books. There should be audits in place, big ones. And you should see where the money is coming in from and what it's going to. That's always worth it. But to just pull that off of charter schools, what do you think they're going to do then with public schools when you catch fraud with public schools? They're going to dismiss it. Why would they look into that and not look into charter schools? It makes zero sense. Unless, of course, you're a part of the fraud yourself, which, let's face it, government is. So I'll leave it there with education. It's never ending. Again, the fraud is never ending. And people want accountability, and we still don't have it. Okay. 2 wireless body area networks /jab/health related things. This is amazing. Saw a commercial the other day for Lysol, the disinfectant spray. This commercial is approximately 16 seconds long. I'm going to play it right now. Give this a listen in 3, 2, 1.
It's not looking good, kid. You've got Flunorococo.
It may sound catchy because it's the flu, norovirus, COVID-19, and the cold. This can handle that. Using Lysol disinfectant spray on surfaces helps reduce their spread by 4 times. Not in my house, Flunorococo.
Not in my house, Flunorococo. You can't make this shit up. It's a combination of the flu, norovirus, COVID-19, and the common cold. And they're telling you, of course, number one, that all 4 of those things exist, when, let's face it, they don't. And number 2, that Lysol disinfectant spray stops the passage or transmission of it by whatever they said, 40 some odd percent? 4 times less likely to contract something. So let's wrap our minds around this lie. You have 4 made-up conditions of different symptoms, most of which are brought about by poisoning via vaccination. There happen to be 4 of them, and then the Lysol company tells you that if you spray things down, then you're 4 times less likely to spread it from person to person. The only way that they can get away with lying like that, about such a thing is because they know that it isn't real. That's why on a box of Clorox wipes, it says gets rid of and kills, specifically kills, 99.9% of all viruses and bacteria, including COVID-19. Well, then there's your so-called cure for COVID. But they can get away by saying that because COVID doesn't exist. It would be like me putting glitter and spring water in a spray bottle, shaking it up, and going outside the perimeter of my home, spraying the walls and everything else in the foundation, and saying on a sticker on the bottle and then selling it to the masses that if you spray your house with this, you will have a 99.9% chance of never encountering a unicorn at your front door. It's the same absurdity. But even worse than that, in the Lysol commercial, they're laughing at you. Because they're saying, here are 4 so-called viruses, quote unquote, which don't exist. And then they're telling you, oh, look, varying symptoms. One guy's sitting by the toilet. One little girl's on the couch, achy. Another young boy is in his bed with snot-filled rags next to his face. And then the flu guy is this old-timer in his recliner watching TV. So they're trying to make it again look like it's different things for different people. It's all normal. But it's also all the same, and we can't differentiate between one or the other. That's the mocking mentality of what they're doing. They're laughing at everybody. They're saying, I can't believe you bought this. 6 years ago, you believed this lie. And now we're just going to mock all of you and tell you that if you just spray your house down with Lysol disinfectant spray, which is a poison and flammable, then you won't spread your so-called illness. Disease doesn't spread that way anyway, which means you're literally spraying Lysol, a poison, for nothing. It's incredible. This many years out, and they're just mocking people to their face, and then of course giving it the fake comedic name of Flunorococo. I mean, it's just if I didn't smile a little bit, I'd want to jump through the screen and strangle the people who actually came up with this. It's incredible to me. So please, do yourselves a favor and stop believing the lie. And when you hear of a commercial like that, please get angry. It's a righteous anger, and it's an accurate anger, and you get to get angry. Again, they're so casual with all of it now, when 6 years ago they weren't. You've heard of this other virus, quote unquote, I'm sure, that's coming out of India. It's the most deadly virus ever to come out of India. Well, that's simple. India is the dirtiest place on earth. They eat cow shit for fun. I've seen it. I've seen videos. Indians eating cow shit. Putting it between slices of bread and eating it. Saying it makes me gag. It's the truth, though. That's why they're sick. Because their culture is unclean. The whole thing. So no, it's no virus in that it's traveling around in the air, although let's face it, over there it most certainly is. But it's poisoning from a lack of hygiene. Same thing in Africa. Same thing. Same thing on the continent of Africa. No different. We don't have that problem here. We have running water, indoor plumbing, cleanliness, showering daily. These are not difficult things. Healthy diet, exercise, very simple. It's incredible. Here's the final one. I saw this too, and again, blew me away. And I thought to myself, there you go. Here's a quick way to get radiation poisoning. In fact, it's a faster way to get radiation poisoning. And I just found out about this. Didn't even know this was a thing. The business of these, what do they call them? MagSafe wallets. Have you heard of these? Let me read you a description here. And you can see these ads, they're all over YouTube and they're all over social media as well. MagSafe wallets, it says, with smart features, are modern accessories designed to magnetically attach to Apple's iPhone models and other MagSafe compatible devices, while offering enhanced technology beyond just holding cards. They blend convenience, security, and connectivity in a slim, minimalist form factor. So it's a wallet that sticks on the back of your iPhone magnetically, but it itself is a wireless device. So it's a wireless device on a wireless device in your pocket or in your hand. It says the MagSafe wallet is a slim card holder that snaps onto the back of an iPhone, usually iPhone 12 and later, using built-in magnets. It's designed to carry essentials like credit cards, IDs, or transit cards without needing a traditional bulky wallet. Smart features that make MagSafe wallets more than just card holders. Below are the key smart technologies you'll find in higher-end or feature-rich MagSafe wallets. Number 1, Find My /Bluetooth tracking integration. Wallets with built-in Bluetooth or ultra-wideband UWB support can be located using Apple's Find My network. If the wallet separates from your phone or gets misplaced, your phone can show its last known location or play a sound to help you find it. Some third-party wallets offer crowdsourced location updates through the Find My network. And then it says benefit, peace of mind. You won't lose your wallet easily. Wireless body area network. Radiation poisoning. More connectivity and translation from device to your wallet and back and forth. It says number 2, smart alerts and separation notifications. Some smart MagSafe wallets alert you if you walk away from your phone or leave your wallet behind. Alerts appear on your iPhone when the wallet and phone disconnect. Customizable distance alerts help prevent accidental separation. Benefits: prevents losing cards or the wallet before you realize it. I gotta tell you, this is the dumbest thing on the face of the planet. I can't, and people buy this shit. It blows me away. Number 3, card and item protection security. Smart wallets may include RFID NFC blocking liners to protect against wireless card skimming. Encrypted tracking chips to prevent unauthorized scanning or spoofing. How is that possible? How is that even possible? If the device itself is a wireless device and it's attached to your phone or it isn't, and it's reading what's coming off of your phone, why would it prevent what's coming off of somebody else's phone? Or what information is coming from someone else's phone to that device? It says adds a layer of security to both physical and digital threats. Number 4, battery and connectivity features. Some advanced models include small batteries and connectivity features such as built-in Bluetooth chips for enhancing tracking. Sure, what could possibly go wrong? Battery indicators to show remaining charge, especially if using tracking alerts. Low power models for long battery life. It says note, not all MagSafe wallets have a battery. This is specific rather to smart integrated models. Number 5, app companion controls. Well, of course. For wallets with advanced tech, companion apps allow you to customize separation alert thresholds, update firmware, view location history where supported, and enable audible alerts. The benefit is greater control and personalization from your phone. Again, it's just beyond ridiculous. Bluetooth tracking. The range is usually 30 to 100 feet. So if your two devices are more than 100 feet away from one another, it renders the entire device useless. But don't worry, you have your wallet and your phone connected to one another in your back pocket, burning a hole through your ass cheek and giving you cancer in your ass. And every other organ in that general area, which as we know are reproductive organs. It's basically your entire waist. What could possibly go wrong? And then they try to sell it to you like it's a convenience. Again, this is the removal of the brain from the human skull to just constantly rely on devices that are wireless to replace your memory. If you can't keep track of where your phone and your wallet is, you're a retard. Like, I'm sorry. There's just no way around it. It's that simple. My wallet's here, my phone's here. I don't need a wireless device connecting the two or reminding me where one is as opposed to the other. I don't need constant alerts and notifications on a phone to tell me where my wallet is. Next, it'll be where your pants are. Where's my toothbrush? I lost it. Oh, thank God my phone told me because my toothbrush is wireless. Hell, that probably already exists. I'm exhausted. This is exhausting. The wireless body area network, again, you have to say no to these devices. You have to. It's a cumbersome looking metal wallet with a magnet on it that's touching your hand that's on the back of your phone, just pulsating through the palm of your hand. That's not good. Why not just lick batteries all day long? I mean, stick your tongue on a 9-volt and just duct tape it to your tongue. It's the same concept. But people waste their money on this. I don't like the green one. I like the brown one instead. Well, I had the brown one, but the blue one looks cooler. I'm telling you, you put any magnet on the back of any of these phones, it'll burn the phone up. It'll wipe it out. That's a long-standing technological fact. And that's funny that a lot of these iPhone cases, wallet aside for a second, that the iPhone cases have those magnets built into the cases. And then the iPhone user wonders why their phone doesn't work anymore. It's because there's a flippin' magnet on the back of it and there's not supposed to be. My iPhone case is just plastic. I purposely bought one that doesn't have a magnet built into the case because I know what magnets do to technology devices. It kills them. It destroys them. So they're selling you a product that will break another product while giving you cancer of the ass. I'm telling you, I'm losing my mind because everybody else is losing their mind. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all for this one. Thanks for listening as always. Check out the latest Substacks there. There's been 3 of them as of late. The 3rd one will come out here shortly regarding all the nonsense protests. And yeah, thanks for listening as always again, and I'll catch you on Wednesday. Peace. Thank you for listening to American Education FM. Make sure and check out AmericanEducationFM.com for more information. Take care and God bless.